DEF CON, baby. We're
Yeah,
going.
DEF CON.
We're going to be live.
Going to be live in DEF CON. So
I
looking forward to it. It's been, what, 3 years?
It'll be my 3-year anniversary. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to getting out to DEF CON, doing some OSINT, helping out Trace Labs and all that stuff there. So
gonna meet the community. Gonna take at least one shower a day, get 2 hours of sleep, eat 3 meals. No, I jacked that up. Anyway.
No, yeah, it was 3 hours. 3 hours sleep, 2 showers, 1 meal, whatever. They'll explain it to us there.
I'll figure it out.
It'll be a fun time. Lots of people that we haven't seen in a while at all. So yeah, it'll be absolutely fantastic there. So really looking forward to it.
Nice. Any big plans for Las Vegas?
I mean, it's like, I don't know. I think there's just a lot of people that I got to meet up with. Probably going to do the Ferris wheel, hang out, see a lot of the villages. So car hacking, aerospace village, recon stuff, and mostly hanging out in the contest area there. Living the badge life too. So that'll be fun.
Nice. I'm going to be busy running an effing CTF. That's what I'm going to be doing. I think
going to be behind the booth a lot of the hours.
I think we're pretty much booked.
We're booked. I'm like, yeah, okay. There's some people that are like, oh, come find me, and I'm like, no, come find me. I'm the one that's going to be stuck behind a booth all the time, but we'll work it out. So it'll be fun to see anybody there.
Yes, we'll be we will be chained to the contest area Friday day, Saturday day for sure. We'll probably be haunting Sunday as well. We'll be running around giving out stickers, patches, possibly poker chips and challenge coins if FedEx and UPS knows what's good for them. A lot of cool merch, a lot of cool swag, maybe some
cool shirts.
Contests.
Like you've got that shirt that you can model too. The Trace Labs shirt.
That Trace Labs drip, as the kids say.
At least you have drips. You got some volunteer stuff. You would go all blurry because of your camera, but it gives you the powers of blurriness.
It does. Thank you. Yes, these shirts are earned, not sold. So unfortunately, not for sale.
Yeah, the volunteer one's not. So,
Alex, what's in that jug? Is that water?
This gallon of OSINT.
I didn't know they made OSINT in liquid form.
Science.
Of course. What do you need a gallon of OSINT? What do you use a gallon of OSINT?
I do a lot of OSINT. I mean, got a gallon of it.
And what exactly would you use a gallon of OSINT for?
Mostly spamming location flags.
Of course. Moving on. Okay, I guess before we jump into a briefing, we should probably tell them who we are and why they should be listening to us. We're not just some yahoos that have hijacked the Trace Lab Zoom account because they don't have 2FA turned on. I'm Tom, aka Human Decoded on pretty much all the platforms. I guess technically I'm the director of Trace Labs. More importantly than that, I'm just an active participant in the community. You can typically always find me on the Discord, asking questions, answering questions, working on the OSINT VM, working on content, whether it's a podcast or a video, giving these award-winning presentations. So typically you can always DM me. DMs are always open, but I am here to help. Alex, who are you?
So I'm Alex Minster. I'm otherwise known as Baloo, also on most platforms, and also very active in the community with my DMs open. My function is I am basically cover things from end to end. So with the intelligence that comes in, I'm oversee the judges that vet that intelligence. So I'm the judge admin, so I'm going to be very active a lot of times in the CTFs on the back end for just making sure that the judges are doing proper vetting of what good intelligence is. And then also I've been involved with the reporting aspect of Trace Labs. So generating the reports, making sure that we get some good, clean, crisp intelligence to law enforcement. And together, Tom and I were very active in the community. Oftentimes, the ones that jump in for responses. So, and with that, we decided to put together this following briefing.
Well, enough pre-show banter. Now it's time for the real show banter. Thank you for joining our contestant briefing for the Global OSINT Search Party live at DEF CON number 30. It's going to be really amazing. We normally run these things live, but because of the hybrid nature of this event, that's unfortunately not going to be an option. So we are recording this for you in the past, for the future. Time is a construct. Don't worry about it. Please, I hope you're watching this before the CTF and not right before the CTF, but we're going to be running through the history of Trace Labs, why we exist, and then in the second half of the presentation, we'll be jumping into the actual CTF. So there'll be a timestamp down below if you want to skip this first part. If you do, Alex and I will know, and our feelings will be hurt. So I guess if that's what you want to do, go ahead and skip ahead to the CTF briefing. But quick breakdown of what Saturday is going to look like. So all times are in UTC. That is the best way to have some kind of a standard. When we start talking about Vegas time or Eastern time, it can get super confusing. So whenever you hear times communicated from us, we're going to try to do it in UTC. Quick reference, Las Vegas is UTC -7. Eastern United States is UTC -4. And those are the two that I deal with. So lots of good converters there online. But
yeah, and it's also good for the number of participants that are virtual as well. We're going to have a lot of participant contestants, and we're going to have a lot of participant judges that are going to be virtual. So having things in UTC that everybody can convert, that's going to help them out.
Yes. So Saturday, the platform will be going live at 17:30. So that's 5:30 p.m. UTC. That will be 10:30 a.m. Las Vegas time. The CTF will be open for 4 hours. In that 4 hours, teams will be able to submit flags. At 21:30 UTC, submissions close, and our volunteer judges will begin the long process of cleaning up flags. We, the leadership team, will make sure all of our ducks are in a row, everything looks good. And then hopefully by 22:30 UTC, we'll be able to announce official badge winners. Unfortunately, we won't be able to give any kind of closing remarks because we can't, broadcast from the contest area. So all of our communications will be happening via Discord. We'll be blasting things out on Twitter and LinkedIn. But the most real-time, up-to-date place to get communications during the CTF is going to be Discord. If you're not in our Discord, please get into our Discord, and I'll be sharing links to that in the video description here. You'll probably see a QR code coming up, but please get into the Discord. It's just an awesome place to be in general and is going to be a necessary part of the CTF. So this briefing is really broke up into two big parts. First, we're going to be talking about what exactly is a Trace Labs, what do we do, why do we do it, and then in the second half, we're going to be going into the CTF specifically. And this is very important. I guess if you're not watching this video, you wouldn't hear me saying this, but we're going to be going through the CTF and really hitting on the changes that we've made. This won't look the same way as even the CTF that we did back in March, for example. So a lot of exciting changes that we're going to be really trying to hammer home for you. That being said, thank you to our sponsors. These are organizations that continue to support us. They've offered up prizes in the past. We're still figuring out prizes for the DEF CON CTF, but regardless, a huge thank you to OSINT Combine, Hack the Box, Joe Gray at the Oscension, OSINT training through automating OSINT, Spiderfoot, Hunchly, both amazing OSINT tools, and Intelligence Fusion. It is a really cool community. If you've never heard of them, look them up. So all of these people have given us a tremendous amount of support in the past. Please check them out because they help us make events like this possible.
Yeah, and some of these sponsors may be at DEF CON or maybe at future conferences. So if you ever do get the chance to see them in person, extend our sincere gratitude to them as well.
Yep, indeed. Okay, I'm going to kick it over to Alex, and he's going to tell us what exactly is a Trace Labs.
Yeah, so Trace Labs, it kind of takes the concept of the missing persons problem, and we address that in generating new leads for missing persons cases. So we work alongside law enforcement, so we don't go around law enforcement. We're not doing vigilantes, but through that, we created Trace Labs as a not-for-profit, and its mission is to collect the open source intelligence and provide that in reports to law enforcement. So we started in 2018, and Trace Labs has grown from being Canadian-based, so grown out of being a small Canadian-based company into being a global organization with a lot of contacts through a lot of law enforcement around the world. So why does Trace Labs exist? So there was the missing person problem. If you ever meet Robert Sell, who is our founder, he's been with Search and Rescue for a while, also does the reunification, but he looked at that missing person problem, and that where this grew out of is that the missing person problem continues to worsen. There are a lot of statistics and a lot of numbers out there that continue to update. You may have heard that, you know, every 40 seconds, another person or another child goes missing. Those statistics continue to be updated, number of statistics out there, but bottom line, the problem's getting worse. And as the problem worsens, Trace Labs steps in to upgrade the solution as well. So we continue to evolve our solution, and you're going to see that also with some of the changes that we've made to the platform over time, is that we want to update our solutions. So with that, we have the OSINT Search Party CTF. So this CTF is different than most CTFs that you may encounter, both at DEF CON and at future conferences. Different than a lot of those CTFs because this is a non-theoretical one. So you have a lot of these capture the flags to where you may be working with kind of a theoretical setup, or a system that's set up a certain way might not be representative of real world. This, with the capture the flag, these are real missing persons cases that you're working on. So these are real people, real families, real impacted communities that are looking for resolutions to the missing person case. So we do indeed gamify the solution, and that might sound a little weird, but it's one of the most efficient vehicles for generating good intelligence. So we created that CTF. We've had a lot of participants. I think we've done somewhere around like 30, 40 CTFs over the history of Trace Labs. I've lost count. So it really picked up during the pandemic, and this is where we're at DEF CON. We're able to be in person for this, and we're really excited about that. So we use OSINT for good. We really like using that hashtag OSINT for good, just to, again, represent hackers in a very positive light, using our OSINT skills to further a charitable or ethical cause. We do partner with NCPTF, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Operation Safe Escape, and Stop Child Abuse and Trace an Object. So we have all sorts of partnerships, such as the ones on here. A lot of integrations with law enforcement, a lot of integrations with different conferences, including DEF CON, and we're enthusiastic for all of those involvements that we can have.
Very good. And for the record, the NCPTF is the National Child Protection Task Force.
Yes.
NCMEC is the National Center for Exploited Missing Children.
Okay.
Why would you OSINT for good? Why, why does that matter? Why is that a thing? Why is that a thing that we're really leaning into? And it's important because the landscape has changed, and the landscape of investigations, the landscape of missing persons cases, the landscape of what pieces of information are valuable to an investigation. So traditional crime continues to evolve and takes on a more and more digital component. Think about the way crimes were investigated before social media and after social media. It's huge difference there. So crime continues to evolve, so must the solution. Even like physical crimes continue to have a digital component or an online component. And there's a lot of that information out there. So it's great having a ton of data to maybe feed into an investigation, but someone has to actually process that data. So crime has evolved, but the resources that law enforcement has available to devote to those crimes hasn't necessarily increased, and in some cases it's even decreased. So there's a lot going on there. So if people, just regular people, can step in and assist with that, or provide some kind of a safe and helpful effort to that investigation, that's how these solutions scales. And that's truly what OSINT for good is. It's using our curiosity and our skills and our ability to follow directions to hopefully assist in a missing persons investigation. So that's why we are using OSINT for good. Trace Labs works within a very well-defined model. And what I mean by that is we're not just people running around the internet trying to solve crimes. We have some very clear rules of engagement. In fact, you're going to see us have rules that actually exclude very useful and very valid OSINT investigation techniques. But we've kind of drawn a very clear sandbox that we get to play in to keep our contestants safe, to keep our volunteer judges safe, to keep our community safe, and also to not risk interfering with an ongoing missing persons investigation. So we don't ever want our good intentions to hinder an investigation or put any of our community members in danger. So you're going to see some very clear rules of engagement. You're going to see only passive intelligence collection. You're going to see no engagement, with a missing person's family. It's 100% no touch. If we're doing everything correctly, no one's ever even going to know that we were looking into a particular missing persons case besides the LE agency that we submit our report to. We've also gamified the process, and that's really what separates us from maybe just a group of people investigating missing persons cases. So it's fun, it's safe. You don't have to have a technical or an investigative background. You can just come in with a web browser, follow our rules, have a good time, and contribute, to the overall mission. And then the end product, or the deliverable, if you will, is us providing all that information we uncovered to law enforcement in a way that's, one, clearly outlines all of those data points, but also in kind of an easy to understand format. So that's the model that we operate in. So if you're ever curious, like, why these rules exist, that's why. within the Trace Labs model, we do a few different things. Obviously, we're here to talk about our OSINT Search Party CTFs. Um, we also run ongoing operations in between Search Party CTFs. So you can think of these like untimed CTFs without the points, which I guess really isn't a CTF at all. But these are our community members continuing to OSINT for good within our model, within, adhering to our rules of engagement, but still collecting information on open missing persons cases. And again, at the end of that, the deliverable is that report to law enforcement. Ongoing ops is currently in closed beta as of August 2022. After DEF CON, we are going to be opening it up as an open beta to see kind of how the community at large sees it. I don't know which day after DEF CON, but we do feel like we're in a pretty good place to open it up to more people trying it out, just seeing if the changes we've made are sustainable and are going to get us the result that we're looking for. We also have a ton of great content, YouTube videos, webinars, blog posts, podcasts, just a lot of great content out there. Just people that are maybe new to the community, new to the industry, people just getting started. We're really trying to cater to those new people. And finally, mentorship. The thing about OSINT is there aren't really any rules. Depending on the country you live in, some things may or may not be against the law. But OSINT can get out of hand pretty quick. There are no rules. There's no one watching you. So we offer a community where brand new people can get plugged in, learn the ins and outs, learn why rules of engagement are important. Hopefully keep them on the straight and narrow and on the right side of the law. So just a great community, hopefully influencing the next generation of, the intelligence community, next generation of investigators, of InfoSec people. Just a really positive, good place to be. Alex, anything else to add to what we do here?
No, but I think just boiling it down into we always have something going on 24/7, not just the ongoing ops, but a lot of opportunities to learn, to share, to contribute, to listen to what others have done, read stories on mistakes other people have made. This is especially important setting up, sock puppet accounts, burner accounts, all sorts of resources and tips and tricks. If you're having problems with anything, somebody's there really at any moment in order to field questions. We have an incredible community. I think that's really the point of our core functions, is that we're always doing something at any given time. So next we talk about the value offering to law enforcement. So why this is so valuable to law enforcement. It raises public awareness in the local community. So you have a lot of local communities that may not be as dialed into the missing persons problem. So within all of the local communities, having our people participate globally, they get that opportunity to talk about it to friends, to colleagues, and it really raises that awareness within the local community, and that really benefits law enforcement as well. It's an opportunity for law enforcement to partner with local OSINT experts. A lot of law enforcement agencies may not have OSINT experts, may not be as exposed to OSINT, may not even know what open source intelligence is, and we help fill that gap and really have impressed them with a lot of our findings. Because we do passive recon, because we're very zero touch, there's very low risk, and it's been a proven model. So we've done lots of reports to many different agencies, gotten their feedback in a few cases. And so we have that proven model that's very low risk to law enforcement, very low risk of interfering with a ongoing investigation. And with that, they're very, very enthusiastic about the work that we do. And then a lot of times we provide some new actionable intel that allows the case to be reopened. So oftentimes we have cases that may need a fresh look, may need some additional information. And if we provide some new actionable intelligence, which is going to be called out with some of the updated flags that always point to that new actionable intelligence to justify some movement forward, reopening of cases, and law enforcement loves seeing that, loves being able to give that information within their agency and possibly even close the case and bring conclusions to the loved ones and community of the missing person. So the value offering to contestants. This is exciting for contestants. It's an opportunity to participate in a new CTF experience. So it's something new and unique. A lot of participants might not have come across anything like this before. Again, the non-theoretical CTF, you're actually looking for real missing persons. Additionally, we love the fact that it's a low barrier of entry for the contestants. It's not a lot of information that you need to know in order to get started in this. You just need a computer and an internet. If you're starting at a low level, we have lots of resources in order to be able to bring you up to speed. We also pull this together in individual teams, so that's an opportunity for within a team for beginners to learn from the more experienced. And we also expand that out to the larger community as well, so that we have teams that may not be as experienced, people that may not know as much, that are able to get some resources and help from the community. So you have some more on the judge side, you have senior judges that are able to mentor new judges, and you would also have some senior OSINT experts that are able to mentor the more inexperienced participants. And additionally, it gives that satisfaction of directly helping the local community, law enforcement, and the family of the missing person. So that gives a lot of gratification, a lot of satisfaction to what you do, that you're making an impact to communities all over the world.
So I mentioned earlier, we've got a lot of great just content, that we try to provide to the OSINT community in general. There's the Breadcrumbs podcast, hosted by me. The intent here is just to give OSINT for everyone. So a lot of great guests on, just talking about various OSINT topics or OSINT adjacent topics, OPSEC, OSINT in pen testing, OSINT resources, paid OSINT resources, OSINT in law enforcement, how to break into the industry. Just a ton of amazing guests. I think at the time of this recording, we're probably up to 20 episodes, just over 31,000 downloads, which is really cool. We're on all of the major podcast services, Spotify, Apple, RSS feed if you're old school. But please check it out. If you want to be a guest, if you have a good idea for a show, my DMs are always open. That's how we find our guests. We've put together a custom OSINT VM. It's a Kali Linux variant. Just think Kali, but with just OSINT tools. It's been just a lot of fun to put together. It is something that we do our best to maintain. OSINT tools, they come and go though. Me personally, I think the real value of this VM is, one, getting new people used to the idea of a virtual machine. VMs can be incredibly useful in, non-CTF investigations. They're a great way to stay organized. They're a great way to insulate your investigation from your host system and vice versa. Just VMs are great in general, and this can be kind of a stepping stone into the world of virtual machines. Also, we try to load it up with as many OSINT resources as we possibly can in the form of Firefox and Chrome bookmarks. So in my opinion, that's the most valuable piece of the VM, is not the tools, but us trying to organize and curate the resources.
And I do think that yeah, there's a lot of value in this virtual machine, uh, really around the community that supports it, that you're going to be able to get that support from the Discord server. You cannot stress enough the expertise that goes into supporting and developing this Trace Labs OSINT VM. So not only do we have a great team of engineers that work on this, fine tune it, but they also have the resources to go to offensive security, go to Kali Linux and say, hey, we're having some issues. Is there something going on with Kali Linux itself? And work some things out to have some great integration with our tools into the Kali Linux operating system and be able to deliver a very easy to get spun up, easy to get started virtual machine. And again, if you have any questions, we have a great community that's there to support it, which is a lot different than various Linux builds to where you may not have that support from the community.
We got videos. Um, not a honestly not a lot of content on the YouTube channel, but I think what is on there is very valuable. If you have an idea for a video, again, DMs are always open. The best content ideas that we've had didn't come from us; it came from the community. So I would just urge you all to be vocal about, what you'd like to see. Do you want to work on a video with us? We're pretty much open to anything there.
Yeah, and especially if there are guides that you would like to see, and this is a great opportunity to reference that we have, as you see here, we have guides for using the OSINT VM. We have guides for how to be a participant. How do you set up your sock puppet accounts? And so if there's anything that you're stuck on that you want to see some content on, we either have that available or we can easily get that spun up in order to help our community.
And what would a website be without some blog posts? Again, not a lot of blog posts, but what we might be lacking in quantity, I feel like we make up for with quality. There's some interesting CTF write-ups there, some geolocation tutorials, just a lot of just neat stuff going on there. So again, I'm going to keep saying it. Have an idea for a blog? DMs are open.
Tom, why are we here?
It's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it, Alex? I mean, why are we here? Are we just the product of some cosmic coincidence? Just randomly slammed together atomic particles that, ended up who we are today, billions of years later? Are we the product of some creator? Are we living in a simulation? Honestly, I don't know, but I can tell you it keeps me up at night.
What? I mean, why are we here on this Zoom call?
Oh, Trace CTF.
What's all this existential crisis stuff?
I would say it's nothing.
Do you want to talk about it?
No. Alrighty, welcome to part 2 of our multiple award-winning contestant briefing. I'm sure the first part won an award. The second part will win at least one. So multi-award winning contestant briefing. In the second half, we're going to be talking to you all about the CTF specifically, the logistics of, the timing of, hopefully answer some of your frequently asked questions, and pointing you towards some other resources that can help get you started as well. Before any of that, please join the Discord. I promise the QR code is not a Rickroll. It's not my Monero wallet receiving address. Just please get in Discord. That's where everything's going to be happening. So all of our news, all of our updates, all of your questions can be answered there. Please join the Discord. So the first question we need to get out of the way is, how do you register for the event? This event is going to be unlike anything we've ever done before because it's going to be hybrid. There are going to be in-person contestants as well as virtual contestants. So we've never done that before. So it seemed like a great idea to do it at the largest hacker con in the world. What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Indeed, just YOLO it. It's
Those
DEF
are,
CON. That's DEF CON. Live demos.
yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, we've pretty much got everything where it needs to be. We have plenty of time. So getting signed up for the CTF, if you are an in-person contestant, we, the Trace Labs team, well, Alex, I'll probably be at the pool, but someone from Trace, someone wearing a Trace Lab shirt is going to be in the contest area on Friday, August 12th, doing in-person registration. Come up to the table, get some swag. We've got stickers, patches, poker chips, lots of really cool stuff there. But come up, talk to us, get some merch, and get signed up for the CTF. That will be us giving you your registration code to get signed up on the platform. Spots are limited. We haven't decided exactly how many registrations we'll be able to give out for the CTF in total, but we are giving first dibs to those in-person attendees. So in-person people are going to be able to get signed up Friday day, Friday evening, Las Vegas time. We will open up the remaining tickets on our Eventbrite, and I'll be dropping the link to that Eventbrite down below. It'll have a lot of these details on there. And at sometime Friday evening, I'll be announcing the exact time, but we'll just pretend it's 6 p.m. Las Vegas time on Friday. The remainder of those free tickets will go live on Eventbrite, and that's how you'll be able to get signed up for the CTF there. As I said, in person, you'll be getting a reg code from us.
Also, yeah, one person, one reg code.
Yes. One person, one reg code. Although I guess if you show up again, like in a disguise, I'll probably give you a second one just for the effort. So if you're wearing like a mustache or glasses or a wig,
a monocle.
Yes. I'll probably, or if you're two people in a trench coat, I'll probably give you several registration codes there. Virtual registrants, like if you're getting your ticket on Eventbrite, your Eventbrite order number is going to be your registration code. That is what Eventbrite emails you when you buy a free ticket to the CTF. So that's going to be your reg code. If you have any questions about this, you can either email us through Eventbrite or just blow up our collective DMs in Discord. That's why it's so important to get into Discord. And I will be up probably all Friday night fielding registration questions. So there will be support the night before the CTF. This is a very quick turn time. But again, I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Okay. These next several slides, I'm going to go through kind of quick because all this information is captured in video form. I'll leave a link to the Trace Labs YouTube playlist where you can actually see us walk through this entire process. But this is what if your Eventbrite email is going to look like if you had to get a ticket virtually. In that email is going to be your order number, and that's your registration code. Okay. To get registered on our platform, so the CTF itself takes place on the Search Party platform. The URL is going to be searchparty.tracelabs.org. To get registered, searchparty.tracelabs.org/register. You're going to see a screen prompting you for your registration code. Alex, what do you think goes there?
The best leet speak ever. But yes, your registration code goes into the registration code.
Winner. So you put in your reg code you either got from us or from Eventbrite. The system will then prompt you for your email, as well as to create a username and a password. And just like that, you're registered. From there, every time you go to searchparty.tracelabs.org, you will be greeted with this amazing login screen where you can put in your email and the password you set up. Or I guess if you're just super elite, the email and password of somebody else.
My password is Hunter2.
Yes. Yes, I can see your post-it note from here, Alex. We all know your passwords. When you first log into the platform, you're going to be greeted with a screen that looks like this to either join a team or create a team. If you are joining a team, that team should have already given you their join code. So you would hit join, be prompted for the code of the team to actually join up with. If you are the person creating the team, click on create team. Again, this is all done a lot more smoothly in the training videos. So please watch those if you're not familiar with this process. Okay. And finally, once you're in and the platform is live, I should say that you can get registered on the platform before the event goes live. Like you should be doing this on Friday, either during the day, Friday evening, Las Vegas time, when you got your Eventbrite code. But please get onto the platform before Saturday. If you're having trouble, we can help you out. But once the CTF starts, we're probably not going to be able to help you just because of everything else we have going on. But once the CTF goes live, you're going to be greeted with this amazing screen. Each card represents a real missing persons case. And you can click on, and clicking on these cards is how you will not only submit your flags, but also how you can pull up information about the case. And then you can also see like how many flags you have approved, how many you've had rejected, how many you have pending. In the rejected flags, you can go in and see why the judge rejected it. This is kind of like your dashboard or your hub, if you will, for the competition. You could also see a really important link in the top part of this screen. One, there's the rules, but there's also resources. And within that resources section, you're going to find a breakdown of our categories and the flags that fall into each one of these categories. Now, we're going to be spending a ton of time on this. In my opinion, this is the most important part of this entire briefing. So please pay attention. If you have questions after you watch this briefing, just blow us up in Discord. If you have questions, chances are somebody else does too. It's worth calling out that this is going to look different than any of our previous CTFs. We've made
this whole area is different. So what you're seeing here is different. And while we say like we're going to spend a lot of time going through this, if you haven't caught on already, we do our best effort to make things fun when you have to go through any sort of training or instructional video. Yep. These are going to be better than whatever you have to take all the time if you fail a phishing test. Right, Tom?
That's what they get, Alex. Okay. If I'm not out there sending you phishing links, then it all just falls apart.
All right. So starting with our most basic flag of friends. So friends, this is relevant information involving friends of the missing person. So starting off right away, again, saying relevant, and again, calling out that the relevance will be determined at the discretion of the volunteer judge. So if you have social media profiles of friends shown to interact with the missing person, items that are relevant to the investigation, those are meaningful interactions from the friend with the missing person, meaningful photographs from the friend's social media account. So if they're all gathered together at some group meetup and it's on a friend's social media page, hey, that would likely be relevant information. Insightful comments. This is not where every follower is a friend is one of the important call outs that's not really the case. That all of the followers are friends. If you show meaningful interactions or meaningful information from a friend, and submit that and have established that relevance to your judge, and then your judge will be able to see that, understand the relevance, and give you points for that category.
Yeah, and I think it's worth really hitting on like what we're actually trying to achieve with this CTF. So if you missed the first part of our award-winning presentation, here it goes again. So we are doing our best to put together an online a digital footprint for a missing person, and then turn that footprint over to law enforcement. So you're going to see a lot of these flags are things you're going to find online, like very specific pieces of information or pieces of information that you think are relevant that you'll have to sort of explain to your judge why they're relevant. So at the end of this, if I'm being completely honest, at the end of this competition, we're probably not going to find a missing person. And what I mean by that is we're probably not going to find out exactly where this missing person is right now. What we are going to end up with is a ton of information that we can put together for law enforcement and say, hey, here's everything we found about this missing person. Some of those things might be things law enforcement didn't know about. Some of those things might reinforce information they already had or suspected. Or probably best case, we put together this entire report and say, we think they're probably here, and here's why. So that's really what we're doing here. That's the aim. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The points here don't matter. Winning the competition doesn't matter. What matters is that we're staying true to the mission, that we're trying to create a fun, safe, and meaningful way for regular people to try to contribute to helping out with the missing persons epidemic that's going on worldwide. So please keep that in mind as we're walking through all these. It's a really fun game to play, but the game isn't the point. So you're going to see here that we've called out some specific pieces of information, but obviously we couldn't go through and list out every single possible piece of useful information, because in some investigations, a piece of information might be useful. In other investigations, it might be not. So what I call explicit flags, these are things that if you find them, you're going to get points for them, are pretty evergreen. Those are usually always useful, per our law enforcement feedback that we've gotten, from the reports that we submit. But you're going to see like what I call a wild card flag in almost every category. And it's going to be relevant information as explained by you, deemed as, and then, deemed relevant by our volunteer judge. This is going to be incredibly subjective in some cases. Well, welcome to the world of non-theoretical CTFs. That is the double-edged sword that is what we're doing here.
Yeah, and with this being subjective, I mean the two of us here are the judge admins, and it's also important to stress, work with your judges, don't fight them, don't argue with them. Your judges are going to also be there to support you, so they're not just going to yell back on the flags like, that's not a flag, try harder. That's not going to be their approach. So please make sure that you're working with your judges to make sure that the relevance and that subjectivity is understood in your flag submissions.
Yep. And I'm sorry, I kind of took us down a tangent or a sidetrack. Everything Alex said about the friends category is spot on. As we're putting together this footprint of a missing person, understanding who they were interacting with online can be incredibly useful to an investigation. Someone knows what happened to this person, or someone can provide information to law enforcement, and us sketching out who these someones may be is very important. Us just regurgitating a friends list of a missing person really isn't that useful. So that's
Yeah, and
why, we don't have like every friend is going to be a flag that gets you points. Like, tell us why it should be a flag, convince
tell us
us.
why it's a flag. These are also friends are also very valuable for um, enumerating through multiple social media accounts that a missing person might have. They may have multiple ones. Oftentimes, when they do that, there's going to be some friend overlap between the multiple Facebook accounts they have, multiple Twitter accounts they have. They spin up a second one, they're likely going to have some overlap in the friend base. So that's where friends come in handy in their importance.
So moving on to the employment category, this is going to net you 15 points for every accepted flag. Oh, before we head down this road, it's probably worth calling out. Just because you have a flag rejected once doesn't mean it can't be accepted at all. Your volunteer judge should be putting a rejection reason in there, and hopefully they're kind of coaching you through how it could be accepted. Like most of the time, like everyone is finding really good information. um, we just need a little bit of explanation about why it's relevant, why it's useful, how LE could use it in their investigation. So that's usually the missing part. People do a fantastic job of finding all of these things. So it's totally okay to you'll have to resubmit a flag with a little bit more explanation, a little bit more flavor to it. But you can certainly turn a rejection into an acceptance. You can also get multiple flags in each category. So don't feel like you can just like check off one flag. Like that's again the advantage of non-theoretical. If you were hacking a box, there would be a flag on the machine. And once you got that flag, that was kind of it. Or there would be a list of flags, and once you got all those flags, the machine was done. So you're going to be coming back to these categories over and over and over again. But steering it back to employment, this can be really valuable to an investigation, because if you think about it, like we all typically spend way too much time at work. So having some basic information about a missing person's either employment history or their current employer can be useful. You'll see that we've outlined, names of current or previous employers, addresses of current or previous employers as explicit flags. If you find those, you're going to get points. And then there's that wild card flag. Like, are there things about their employment history that would be useful to an investigation, whether it's job hopping, whether it's the particular industry they were working in, whether it was, did they just quit their job suddenly? Did they have no history of problems at work, so their disappearance was extra strange? Those are all things that might not apply to every case, but if you find them in one of these cases and explain it, you're going to get points for that flag. Alex, anything else on employment?
No, I think that covers it very well.
Okay. Do you want to take us through family?
Yeah, so for family at 20 points, this is relevant information involving the family of the missing person. So again, explain the relevance, work with your judge in order to get the clarity. This category will include like the social media profiles of family members that are relevant to the investigation. So again, relevance of family members, we don't need to know the second cousin of the uncle of the boyfriend of the missing person. If there's relevance there, establish that. That's going to be great. If there isn't any sort of relevance to the investigation, it might not be a social media profile that is of interest. Additionally, social media family members make a lot of comments on the missing persons case, very often have some insightful comments. So if they do have comments on social media that are relevant to the investigation, feel free to highlight those. And if there's any other information about the missing person's family members that are relevant to the information, things that they're involved in, things that may be of interest to law enforcement. Again, different cases have different landscapes, that the family may be very important to some cases and the family may not have as much relevance to other cases. If you find something relevant, again, articulate that, work with your judge, make sure that that clarity is there, and that will net you the 20 points in the family category.
Yep, and it's worth calling out that the family category tends to be our second largest like submission category. So if you just did a little pivot table of, submissions per category, family comes in at number 2. So it's a category that people get a lot of flags from, a ton of value there, but not a lot of explicit flags. So you're going to have to explain to us why this uncle's Facebook comment is relevant to the investigation. Basic subject info, number 1. This blows away any other flag category. This tends to be the category our contestants come back to over the course of the entire CTF. You'll also see a large number of explicit flags. So, I mean, as the name would imply, it's basic subject information. It's going to be just facts about the person, aliases and handles, whether that's online or IRL, other names they might go by that can be incredibly useful to an investigation. Here's that R word again, relevant photos. We are not going to accept every photo from an Instagram profile or every photo from a Facebook gallery. But there could be
examples of, if they change their hairstyle, if someone like, Tom went to DEF CON and got a mohawk, definitely a picture we want to see. Also have, some relevance for the missing persons, that if they have a tattoo that's unknown or not listed to law enforcement, that's going to be some very identifying information. Any sort of recent injuries, as well as going to be relevant information to law enforcement.
Yeah, and it's worth calling out here, what you're typing into that submission box is you speaking to law enforcement. And that's why we have those text boxes. You'll be like actually typing in like the relevance of the flag. Why do you think it's meaningful? It's also worth calling out here, and you'll see it in the training videos as well. You can attach screenshots. But these submissions aren't you playing a game with us. This is you writing a report for law enforcement. So just explain in a sentence or two why this photo that you're submitting for points is relevant to the investigation. If you find forum profiles or, again, relevant posts from the missing person, that can be useful. Are they on, World of Warcraft forums? Are they on Steam forums? Did you find them on raid forums? Did you find them on, whatever weird forums Alex self-hosts? Find them, and then, if there are posts that are relative to them going missing, submit those posts too. Dating site profiles can be incredibly useful, especially if they were married and they shouldn't, maybe their spouse didn't know they had a dating site profile. Those can be incredibly useful as well. And here, screenshots are really great, because the process of creating an online dating profile, can take some time. So just screenshot what you're seeing, and that, explain it, and that can be your flag.
Yeah, screenshots will go a long way in your submissions, and I've often seen submissions that were saved via the screenshot, that they had a very explicit screenshot, had the red circles, had the highlighting, made it very clear what you're supposed to zero in on, because you otherwise submit a URL for your flag. So sometimes your judge, the reporting team, us, we may open that up, see a whole page and go, what am I looking at in here? They mentioned something about a comment that somebody made, or a picture or a forum account or a forum post. What am I looking for? Having that explicit highlighting, big red circle, bunch of arrows saying, look right here, that's going to make it obvious to us and for the reporting team as we pass that along. So as Tom said, you're making mini reports that oftentimes that goes word for word to law enforcement. So the clearer you are there, one, the more likely your submission is going to be accepted, and you're doing a huge favor to the reporting team and law enforcement with that clarity.
Social media profiles, again, kind of circling back to what we're trying to do here. These are the foundation of sketching out a person's online footprint. Find them all. You're going to find people with 7 different Instagrams. That's really valuable. Find them all, submit them all. It's worth calling out that you can get points for the same flag. So like what I'm saying is Facebook profile, flag, Twitter profile, flag, other Twitter account, flag. Like, you're not just checking these off like one and done. You can keep coming back to these flags as long as they're unique. TikTok, Reddit, Instagram, LinkedIn. Dude, I'm old. I'm sure there are other social media profiles out there. I remember, not to date myself, but I remember when Facebook graph search was a valid technique. So
yeah, rest in peace, rest in peace, graph search. Like, it's always my yeah. There was so much fun. So much fun. And there's always tools
moment of
that
silence
die.
for the patched OSINT techniques.
Yep.
Any other online persona or profile, like, so, GitHub, GitLab, adult entertainment websites, either as a customer or a content creator. So Pornhub, OnlyFans. I guess I don't have a lot of adult entertainment experience, but if they're on there, submit them. Gaming profiles. So, find them on Steam. Do they have an Xbox handle? Do they have a PlayStation Network handle? Etsy, Pinterest. Again, I don't know everything about all of these services, but just any place you can find them online, that's a flag. Like, that's the information that we want to include in the report. Personal websites.
Going back to that relevance as well. If finding a site and proving the relevance, additionally, we'll mention this later, but proving that it is the missing person and not just the missing person's handle. But if you can establish that relevant, really any of these online personas will count if you can establish that relevance.
Yep. Personal websites, email addresses, again, wildcard, or any other basic information you have dug up about the missing person relevant to the investigation. It's worth calling out here some of the things we don't accept as flags. So we are not going to accept sources that are speculative in nature or that are aggregate in nature. What I mean by that is, if you find a subreddit dedicated to a particular missing person, nothing you find in that subreddit is going to be a flag. Now, use that and pivot from it. That could lead you to a flag, but you submitting a Reddit post of other people discussing the case most likely is not going.
If it's very speculative, it's not. And I know Tom said if you submit a Reddit post, it's not going to be counted. There's always exceptions if you establish the relevance. So if it is a Reddit post from the missing person that makes some real good content, good idea where they're going, that's going to be counted. But and the speculative forums to where they say, well, I think this happened, okay, if you don't have anything concrete, that's probably not going to be anything that gets counted, because again, we're trying to take your stuff verbatim, passing it to law enforcement. Is this the case that you're going to communicate with law enforcement saying, well, I think they went to Europe, I think they flew to Paris, and you go, well, do you have anything solid to back that up? It's like, no, just a bunch of Reddit detectives talking on a subreddit about how they might have gone to Paris.
Yeah.
You can,
And
as Tom said, you can use that, explore that. If you can make some solid leads for that, then great, submit those.
yeah, there is nothing wrong with you grabbing points based off the work of other people on the internet. So feel free to pivot off, what you're finding out there. Just be aware that like those conversations, I'm picking on Reddit, but there are other, it could be a public Facebook group, it could be a Facebook page, are probably not going to be flags.
And then
But
you
again,
also have some aggregates sometimes, depending on the case. They may even have a forum set up on, hawkerismissing.com, and how all these forum posts that are just aggregates of known information, bunch of speculation of what happened to Tom Hawker. Again, if it's speculative in nature, not going to be counted.
and just
And
for
Tom,
the record,
the other category of stuff, or what are you going to say for the
I
record?
was say for the record, I think we all know what happened to Tom Hawker if he goes missing. Obviously, his sketchy past caught up to him. So
Either that, or somebody figured out that you're just an AI construct, and they
also
yanked the power cord there,
also
or your backup was corrupted.
yes, just I finally succumb to the rampancy that claims all AI constructs. Yes,
Yeah.
either one.
So the other category of submissions that don't get counted, Tom, will be
Yes,
the news media sources.
yes. This might sound silly, but the missing persons report is not a flag. if it is listed in the missing persons report or file that we give you, those pieces of information are not flags.
And it is important to check that, because there can be differing pieces of information that we include in there. So some may have not a lot of information, some may have a lot of information, some may say their Facebook profile is this and their email address is that. In which case, if you submit the same Facebook profile or email address, we're going to say, no, it's not accepted because it's part of the report. Additionally, with news reports, we still believe in the journalistic integrity, in that whatever the news is sharing is also known to law enforcement. So we go by that standard, that if it's shared on the news, shared in a news article, shared in a newspaper article, law enforcement is going to be aware of that.
Yep.
Again, very rare instances where there's an exception to news media. If you can establish that or hit some of those rare exceptions, then those can be brought in.
Yep. So moving down the category list.
To advanced subject info. You may also want to point out that this was at 150 points and it's now at 100 points. That'd be for our long-term participants. Just realize that that has been scaled down to basically be twice as valuable as basic subject info.
Yep. And it's worth calling out here that similar to basic, a lot of explicit flags. So just to kind of look back, like friends, employment, family, one of the big changes we made is we took out a lot of the explicit flags from these lower point categories. But you'll see basic subject info, advanced subject. There are a lot of pieces of information that if you find them, automatic points. Alex hit on this earlier, like unique physical identifiers. Again, not included in the missing persons report, but scars, tattoos, piercings, if it's a super unique hairstyle, something that is really unique to that person, again, explain it to us. So if it's a hairstyle, kind of explain why. But these are very identifiable features that one, you can use in your investigation to maybe correlate other pictures on other social media accounts back to that person. And also, law enforcement can take that information and they might have a database of tattoos. Maybe that only happens on television. I don't know. But that is really important. And that's why we included this one in advanced subject info. Major medical issues or conditions, and these can be either physical or psychological. Um, Law enforcement may or may not know that these things exist if they have a history of depression, if they have schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, if they have Crohn's disease. These are really important things for us to include in the report. So if you can uncover any of these things, again, points. But also explain, like, if you're going to claim this person has a history of depression, you're going to have to back that up with some kind of evidence. Um, any information about where the missing person might have gone. Um, and again, this is going to differ from investigation to investigation. If the missing person frequently posted about wanting to go to Denver, that would be a flag. Just you guessing, probably not going to be a flag.
Yeah, so there's going to need to be this is where again that non-speculative items are there. If they say, hey, I love going up to this cabin in Montana. I always love going to this cabin out in Montana. You can put that in there as a flag because it's really non-speculative that what you're presenting as relevance is this may be a place that they go to, or the missing subject owns a cabin in Montana and always says that they like going there. Hey, that's a solid possibility. It's very non-speculative, but just going, hey, hey, they may have taken off to Canada. I don't know. Like, do you have anything to base their taking off to Canada for? No, not really. Then too speculative and likely going to be rejected.
Um, license plates, license plate numbers of vehicles they may be traveling in are going to get you points. Again, you may have to explain why they are traveling, like why you think they're in that vehicle, make and model of the vehicle they may be traveling in. Again, this is going to differ from investigation to investigation. Maybe it's their vehicle, maybe it's a romantic partner's vehicle, maybe it's a friend's vehicle. Explain it to us. Breach passwords. Speaking to, like, say, law enforcement here in the United States, law enforcement doesn't need your password to get access to your account. There are legal avenues that Ellie can take to get access to your Facebook account or your message history. But these are still useful finds. So if you do find breached password breach data out there online, you can submit that under advanced subject info. But do be aware that none of our flags can be behind a paywall. So if you have a dehashed subscription, a paid subscription, the information you get from that is not going to work here. If you have a PIPL API key, the information you're going to get from that API is not going to be submittable here. So in the context of breach data, you're most likely going to find that either on some of the breach aggregate sites or possibly on the Tor network in some dump data.
Yeah, and you could also find, based on the breached password information, it could provide some valuable insight to the missing person. If they have a breach password and it says, hey, there's this breach password from the local newspaper. Okay, great. We know some of the newspaper. We know some of their areas. There's a newspaper that they were subscribed to at one time. That may be valuable. Just the existence of that breach data shows their interest. May show some geographical locations that they're a fan of. that provides some useful information. And it's a call out from this item and a couple of other items on here is that sometimes they fall into this advanced subject info, basically coming down from other categories that you think they may fall into. So kind of peeking ahead to dark web. Again, dark web breach passwords, it's going to fall into advanced subject info. Peeking ahead to the location flag, here we're speaking of the evidence of MP being deceased or evidence of MP no longer being missing. That's just moving things from where you think it might be in a higher category. We're explicitly calling them out that they are in the advanced subject info category.
Yeah, and it's also worth calling out that here at advanced subject, you'll find the only time like public news sources would get you points.
Yeah.
And that's if there's a news report indicating a history of going missing. So if it's a news report about them going missing, before and being found or coming back, okay, that's actually really valuable information, is knowing that this isn't their first time going missing. So that is going to get you points if it is from, that one can be from a news source, from a law enforcement Facebook page, just wherever you can find that. That's going to get you points. And again, here's that wild card. Just any other information that you think is relevant to the investigation that transcends the basic subject info category. Again, we can't list out all of the explicit flags. If you think something's important, submit it. Coming up next is one of the other big changes that we made.
Alex, I was gonna say I'm just gonna do like a little drink break or something. So I was gonna do a timeout.
Okay, yeah, we can do timeout.
Also for drinking like green fluid that wreaks havoc with the the green screen here. Have my kiwi lemonade. But yeah, just kind of doing a also like bright lights, hydration.
Yes.
Working things out. There we go. All right. So now you'll probably go back to a pause, yes, and then you'll say like coming up next. All right.
Okay. And coming up next, another one of the big changes we did make to the flag and category structure is the day last seen category. If you've been with us for a while, you're going to see this category is now worth less points than it used to be. Still important. It's still going to net you 3 times as many points as advanced subject info. But this is one of the changes we've made, and we felt like the reduction in points here is reflective of the value that these flags add in comparison to everything else.
Yeah, we are kind of splitting out the previous bucket that was day last seen. So the day last seen category here is relevant information regarding the subject's last day seen. So that day that they went missing, that's where the information is. So if they went missing on March 10th, everything about March 10th is going to fit into this bucket for what happened on that fateful day. All that information that goes into that bucket. So it's going to be, details about their physical appearance on the day last seen. So what they were wearing, what their hairstyle was on the day last seen, hair, clothes, etc. State of mind on the day last seen. So if there were any sort of altercations, if that day last seen they quit work or they didn't quit work, some information around, that could come from friends, family, employers, missing persons themselves, saying what was going on that final day. So if they were intending to meet with someone as well, that could also be established on that day last seen. If they had made a statement saying, hey, I'm going to go to meet up with my friend, they name the friend, okay, that would be good relevant day last seen information. And again, having that final bullet point in here for any other new information about the missing person on their day last seen that's relevant to the investigation. So this kind of separates out that bucket that used to be day last seen, where we had a lot of stuff in there. That's now separates out the stuff that's just the day of. Tom, you have anything more on day last seen?
Yeah. Again, just coming back to the sort of wild card flag, that it's going to differ from investigation to investigation. So telling us what the weather conditions were the day a person went missing might be useful if they were out hiking, if they were driving somewhere through that weather. Or it might not. It might not matter. Like maybe it didn't matter that it was 90 and humid. So what? Like, but again, this is your chance to tell us, like, hey, here's an important thing about the day they went missing. That's not captured in these explicit flags. So what, like sometimes weather matters, sometimes it doesn't. I live in a basement, so the weather is probably not going to play a part in my investigation. The tremendous amount of money I owe Alex will probably be playing a large part in, me going missing.
Yeah, that Crystal Pepsi addiction is catching up to you.
As we
With
all
all
knew
those
what
outstanding loans.
Yep. Um, Another big change. We've broken out a brand new category called Advancing the Timeline and assigned it 700 points per flag.
And I'm very excited about this. This was one of the things that both Tom, myself, and a few other great individuals in the community advocated for establishing.
Yeah, and after seeing this sort of come up like over the last several CTFs, it feels like this is the category that provides information about the person specifically to after they went missing. So probably the most obvious example that you're going to see here is they were active on social media after they went missing. They were posting on Facebook weeks after, their missing date. They were on Instagram. They were liking things after they went missing. So like that's huge.
Yeah,
Showing that they
or even them spinning up a new account after they went missing. That they may very well have burnt their old life and decide I'm just gonna go away, start over, and they spin up a new social media account after they went missing. That's huge as well. And then you have this aspect of social media account, the activity that it's exclusively controlled by the missing person after they went missing. So that's an important call out, because sometimes we've seen where the missing person's account gets accessed and there's postings from family. Or it may also be a social media account that's not exclusively controlled by the subject, it's a group account. So if, again, I pick on Tom for like, if Tom went missing and there was a Trace Labs account that was still posting after he went missing, that's not an account that's exclusively controlled by Tom.
right. But if you found me on GitHub and I was still signing commits and
Yes.
doing PRs, 6 weeks after I went missing, like that's really important.
Yeah, that would be something that you could make the case is exclusively controlled by Tom.
Yes. Any information that is going to point generally to where this person might be today is going to fall under advancing the timeline. And this was really the like what made us want to boost this category point wise up ahead of, say, day last seen. So if you can put together a case for like, I think they're in Denver and here's why. You might not know their address in Denver. You might not know where they work in Denver or how they got to Denver, but this is your chance to say, hey, I think they're in Denver, and here's Here's why. Here's some screen.
Yeah,
Here's a
or
screenshot.
even seeing posts that you pinpoint the location and say, hey, based on this photograph, we identified something in the back. Photograph after they went missing, identified in the background they may be in Toronto, or they may be in New York, or they may be in
Yep.
Mississippi. That you've identified that's not going to be the location flag, but you have advanced the timeline in saying, hey, since they went missing in Oregon, they're now over here 3 weeks later in Idaho, and then 2 weeks after that, they're over in Georgia. Okay, we're starting to establish what happened. And that's all very valuable information to law enforcement. But it comes, we're putting a bucket for things that kind of fall a little short of that big location flag.
Yep. Great real world example of what this might look like is in one of our CTFs, missing person. We had a team find their profile on a sugar daddy website. So, one, that's points just for finding that profile. They were active after their missing date, and in that profile, they said the city, they were operating in, like, hey, located in New York City. That's the information that's going to get you advancing the timeline points. And again, wild card, any other information that showcases activities after they were reported missing.
Yeah, so if they were reported missing on March 10th, the things that happened on March 10th, that's going to be day last seen. Any activity after March 10th, that's going to be advancing the timeline. That's going to go up to, like, if you have the current date, we'll get into the location flag, but the location flag will have a more specific time frame for what gets you the big amount of points there.
Yep. One of our last categories is called dark web. This will probably be information you find on the Tor network, but with some caveats. Information submitted in the dark web category needs to be exclusive to, say, the Tor network. Meaning not only does it have to end in a .onion URL, but it can't just be like a Tor mirror of a regular site. Great example, Facebook. Facebook has an onion address. Those are not dark web points.
Yeah, and a shout out to DEF CON. DEF CON's website is also on the Tor network. That does not make the DEF CON website a dark web link.
Correct. And then some things we've hit on so far. If you find breach data on dark web, it's only going to get you advanced subject points. So what we're looking for here is, like, for lack of a better word, like just bad stuff. If you're finding, information about them being trafficked on the dark web, like that's going to get you a lot of points. If you're going to find them participating in, dark web marketplaces, either as a customer or as a vendor, that's very important information. That's going to get you 1,000 points. I mean, honestly, if you find their dread profile and you can prove, to your judge that this is Tom's, dread profile, that's huge. Just knowing that this person was active on dark web forums can be incredibly useful. Again, you're going to have to prove that. So just because you found human decoded on dread doesn't mean it's me. But like that's what we're going for here. And if we're being completely honest, the dark web category doesn't get a lot of accepted flags. I mean,
generally the lowest category that we see.
It might get one or two of the 5,000 to 7,000 submissions we get in the CTF. We might have one accepted dark web. in the context of the game, I wouldn't spend a lot of time here. You're going to get a lot more value by exploring the other categories.
Yeah, and different cases have different contexts, so we may very well have a case where they are heavily into the dark web, and we're going to see a lot of flags there. So sometimes context of the case matters.
Yep. Finally, location. So if you found a location flag, you are, just from a math point of view, you are probably going to win the CTF. Generally speaking, I think our team, like our top teams, score between like say 10 and 13,000 points in a given CTF. If you snag a location flag, you're probably going to win. But we don't get these very often. In fact, I'll say in the 3 years I've been involved with the organization, I don't remember ever seeing a legitimate location flag. That's not to say it's impossible, but the degree of certainty that we're looking for in this flag is incredibly specific. The simplest way I can explain it is, I need you to tell me a place that if I sent a police officer there right now, they would find this missing person there. Either they are at work at Chipotle right now. Here is their address in this new city they're in. Go there right now. They're going to be there.
Yeah, we're picking up the phone to law enforcement and saying this is why, this is where they need, this is where you need to go. Yep. Additionally, location flags. If you submit a location flag, we're also going to say your judge doesn't have the button to accept this. Your judge needs to reach out to us, and then we press the button for accepting the location flag. So it's going to go through some thorough review before we say yes.
Yeah. So just to kind of construct like what this might look like. And again, this is kind of built off all the other categories. So you found someone's third Instagram account. Cool. Basic subject info. You found they were still posting after the date they went missing. Okay, cool. That's advancing the timeline. They currently had an Instagram story from a sporting event happening right now, showing them at this football game, at this baseball game, at this concert. And you say, hey, that concert is happening right now, and they're there. That's a location flag. So you could obviously see like how hard that would be to get.
Yeah, and then we did give that slight bit of room for like they will be imminently be present at, to where if they go, hey, I'm on my way to the airport to get on this plane and go to Paris. Okay, well, you've established all of that, not just through Instagram stories and maybe backed up with ticket info, and we go, okay, they posted a picture of their ticket saying, hey, I'm on my way to to Paris, and I'm going to be at the airport in an hour. That's something that we can again inform law enforcement, like, hey, they're on their way to the airport right now. They're on their way to this location right now. That would be location information. But again, as Tom established, there's going to be a lot of that establishing information leading up to it. It's going to have like the highest level of accuracy, thoroughness in reporting and context. You're going to really build that case. We do, admittedly, this is also where we get a lot of the attempt at location flags that we understand. People swing for the fence, and then they go, oh, here's something, this is a location flag. And sometimes the submissions come in just with a pinpoint on a Google map, and the relevance is location. And okay, that you're taking a guess at something on the map and calling it a location. It needs a lot of work in order to get that. A lot of description, a lot of build up, a lot of relevance, and being very accurate.
Yep. And I think that's all we have to say about the categories. We spent a lot of time there, but we honestly can't spend enough. A lot of changes from previous CTFs. I think this represents the evolution of the contest, while still staying true to what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, big sigh of relief, because it's a lot of work, tender love, and care into this evolution as well. So it's great to kind of get this evolved, to see it come to fruition, and big thanks to everybody that helped out on evolving the categories.
Yeah, and it's quite possible this could just completely blow up in our faces. If it all just goes completely wrong in DEF CON, I've got no problem, telling the entire conference that this was all Alex's idea, and I told him it was not going to go well. So
Hashtag ban from DEF CON because of a CTF that goes bad.
yes,
That doesn't come to
I'm
be.
more than willing to have that conversation to save my own ass. No, if it does go south, I don't think it will, but hey, if it doesn't, okay, we'll figure out how to make it better next time. That's the hacker spirit, is trying to improve something. And if it doesn't go the way you thought it would, find a way to turn that into a victory. Next couple slides, we're not going to spend nearly as much time on, because again, this is all captured in separate sort of platform training videos that I will link to down below. I did just want to show you an example of, here's the case info. When you click on the eye on those cards, it's going to pull up some basic information about the missing person, along with a link to maybe more of an official missing persons profile, whether it was NCMEC, whether it was local police websites, like that. This is going to be your starting point for this missing person.
And it's important to check here, because the information that's here is not going to be accepted as a flag. So you see scar under left eye, you submit a flag saying, hey, the missing person has a scar under the left eye. We're going to kind of be like, we know it's in the missing persons thing, and it's not going to be accepted as a flag.
And just real quick, again, captured in the videos, but this is what a submission will look like. You'll have a place for a URL, a place to explain why it's relevant, a place to explain why it is what you say it is, and a place to upload a single screenshot. So not a whole lot there. We are going to talk about our ROE. So I've hit on this in other parts of the presentation. I know Alex has too. Zero touch. Everything we're doing is passive. No friend requests. Don't join private Facebook groups. Do not contact the family of the missing person. Do not, do not send friend requests to the missing person's Instagram account. These are all things that have happened before, and they will 100% get you banned from this competition.
Yeah, and also it also underneath that, don't announce publicly that you're looking for this missing person either. I think that's also a common area that we've seen, is people say, "Oh, hey, I'm super excited for this," and we get that excitement, but they go out and post and say, "Hey, I'm super excited for this. I'm searching for this missing person," and it gets tagged or it gets picked up, and sometimes I think we've had that happen where law enforcement starts asking questions because they got contacted by the family of the missing persons over, hey, what's all this stuff? Why is their name exploding on social media now?
Yeah.
And it's because people are talking about, hey, I'm doing this case for Trace Labs, and that can be painful for the family and the missing person as well. So that's why we really want to avoid that engagement.
We've hit on it already, so we won't beat this one to death, but relevant intel sources, no speculation, and show your work. So that the boxes you type into that flag submission, that is you writing a report for law enforcement. Everything does have to be a publicly verifiable link. So Nothing can live behind a paywall, and screenshots can save you, as Alex has mentioned before. Okay. Couple quick examples of a good submission versus a not great submission. So this is a pretty cut and dry, basic subject info submission. There is Human Decoded's Facebook profile, got some supporting screenshots comparing, a photo from Facebook to the missing persons photo. Like, this is a great submission. An example of that same submission that's not so great. Okay, like that, there's a Facebook profile for Human Decoded. There's a bit of an explanation, but that's really it. Like there's nothing in this explaining like why you think this Facebook page belongs to our missing person. And in the absence of some kind of a screenshot comparison, this probably isn't something I would accept. Alex, how about you?
Yeah, I don't think I would accept this either, because you want to establish that it is the missing person, because there's a lot of Human Decodeds out there. With my handle, Beloov, there's also a lot of Beloovs out there. You want to establish that this is them, and then you also really want to pull out that speculation saying they probably interacted with someone that knows where he is. If you have that, go to that specific thing, highlight it, circle it in the big red circle, and I give a link directly to it, screenshot that, so that it makes a very clear case, because additionally these go through several layers that they come to the judges, then to the reporting team, then to law enforcement. It needs to be very clear cut what they're looking at.
Yep. Okay. Here is, I don't like using words like worst or best, but this is probably the worst possible thing, the worst rabbit hole you could go down as an investigator in general, not just in the context of the CTF. So just because you find a missing person's handle on some website does not automatically mean that belongs to our missing person. Randomwebsite.net/human decoded. Okay, cool. I go by Human Decoded, so maybe it's me, but it's going to be up to you to explain why it's me. So, is there a profile picture you can use to prove that it belongs to our missing person? Did their Facebook profile link to this profile? Like there's a lot of different ways you can prove, that connection, but you are going to have to prove it. Don't just put their handle into what's my name and then submit all of those, results as a flag. Alex, what do you think?
No, I was just thinking, it's like, this reminds me of some of the early days in OSINT. I had a friend that had a very common handle, such as Chaos. And so if you try looking at, I ran his name through his handle through enumeration, it came up with like thousands of websites. I'm like, wow, he's all over the place. And then I looked and I go, wait a minute, no, there's multiple people that use this type of common handle like Chaos. You do want to establish that relevance, because if it's the type of thing to where Tom's posting on all of these forums that he loves Crystal Pepsi, and then you find his profile at crystalpepsifans.net/human decoded, you could say, okay, we know that's him because of this other relevant information that ties Tom to this Human Decoded website, Human Decoded profile on this website. You can establish that.
And like as I just mentioned, like this is just good investigative advice, not just in the context of a CTF. Because if you're on, we'll say, quote, real world investigation, and you just head down some rabbit hole, you're wasting your time, you're wasting resources. If you don't figure out it's the wrong direction, you could be building up this entire case based off incorrect information. So like, validating that these profiles belong to your missing person is the foundation for your investigation. And if you start making pivots based off wrong information, now your entire investigation is wrong.
And then additionally, there's nothing more disheartening than when we as admins go through and review and find after the fact that you went down this whole rabbit hole that is incorrect, and we have to reverse the points.
Yep.
That's disheartening to us, and it's certainly disheartening to a team going, wait, where are all our points going? And it's like, because we're rescinding those flags because they were built on incorrect information.
So here's a good example of advanced subject. We talked about unique identifiers, unique, things like tattoos. Here is a URL that is going to pull this picture up from my Facebook profile. Boom, right there it is. They did a screenshot. I mean, this is a slam dunk. Like, this is a pretty easy flag to approve if you're one of our volunteer judges. A not so great version of that same flag. Okay, there's a link to my Facebook profile. They talked about what it was, but now if you're the volunteer judge trying to vet this piece of intelligence, you're just dumped on their Facebook profile, and now you have to scroll through, if it's my Facebook profile, thousands of pictures of the food that I eat, just trying to find this flag they're kind of describing here. Like, Alex, how would you improve this?
I would definitely improve this with the screenshot, and also going to the very specific mention, because in this instance they're referencing the missing person as it being their page. But let's say I had a picture on my page of human decoded's lower back tattoo.
That time we got matching tattoos on spring break. Yeah, that's
if you link just to my page might change, or I might say, oh, hey, wait, I should probably not have posted that picture, and I'm going to delete that picture. But if you have a screenshot showing it was there, and you also have a link that goes directly to it, even if that link changes, it's going to be one of the things to where just going to the main site, you might not see the same thing, especially as this progresses through reporters, reporting team to law enforcement. They may see this a few weeks later, go to that page and go, wait, there's been 50 posts since then. I don't know where to find it. And having that screenshot, having that direct link is really going to help.
Yep. Okay. And a couple call outs about staying within scope. I mean, we've already hit on a lot of these, so I won't read these line by line, but just please, the things that we've said, we are very, very serious about it. These rules exist for a reason, and the model only works when we follow the rules all the time.
Yeah, so I'll take a moment for you to take a look at this, screen capture it if you have to. But these are important points that we're going to say. This is your moment that you were told, at least the first time, don't do these.
Yep. And my favorite one on here is, do not initiate password resets against accounts.
We even have a public service announcement. So
yeah, so I'll just let you all sit back and enjoy. You don't talk to your kids about password resets. Who will? Trace Labs will, and it's not going to be a very fun conversation. So I'll let you watch this, and then we'll come back to the presentation. Okay. Well, I'm glad we all got to enjoy, that lovely, lovely PSA. It's worth calling out that password resets can be an effective and legitimate open source intelligence technique. We just don't do them here. So
that's not for us.
Yeah, that's part of the sandbox that we play in. The sandbox that we've sort of, confined ourselves to. No password resets. If you do it, I will ban you myself. Done, gone. Like, this was your warning.
I have brought my ban hammer to DEF CON, so I will hand that over to Tom if he needs to ban you himself.
But in enough for the the doom and gloom.
Yeah,
Um,
because and again, we don't want to say like we just do this because it's a rule, but understanding that it can have that implication to family and friends of the missing persons that see that activity. It can cause a lot of emotional pain for those that are still looking for answers, still looking for a missing person, if they get any sort of notification on a missing person, on the missing person's account.
yep. Um, so now we're kind of getting into the, we've talked through the logistics of the event. Like next is just going to be some maybe higher level, just best practices. Be clear, make what you're doing repeatable, um, communicate. You're going to know the Discord handle of your volunteer judge.
Also important to point out the typo. We're on Discord,
No,
not Slack.
Slack.
But it is important. I'm calling that out here that it's like you're all going to be in Discord. Give your judge a heads up via Discord.
Yeah.
So again, Discord, not Slack. We used to be on Slack.
I'll fix that in post. Just cross it
Sure.
out and pencil in crayon Discord. And also, read your feedback. The judges should be giving you a rejection reason. So they're probably telling you how to turn that rejection into a submission. Excuse me, into an acceptance. The process of you getting assigned a volunteer judge is a manual one. So when the event opens and 200 teams begin submitting flags, there is a person at a laptop in Las Vegas that has to start assigning teams to judges. It's unfortunately not an automated process. So don't be shocked if it's like 20 minutes into the competition and you still haven't had your first flag accepted. We are working on it. Don't worry. The other thing worth pointing out is that even when the platform closes, we're still going through and working on flags that were submitted within that time frame. Finally, if you have a concern, you can DM myself, you can DM Alex. Just let us know if something is not working for you. Also understand we are getting a lot of DMs from a lot of people over the course of the competition. So again, we might not be able to respond to you immediately.
And being in Vegas, we may have a lot of in-person individuals that are taking our attention as well. So we'll try to have someone watching the DMs, but we may step away from our laptop at this time. Additionally, we may be coming up with some slicker ways in order to get in touch with your judge.
Yes, we are beta testing some cool things we can do in Discord to maybe make that a little bit more not automated, but make that flow a little bit better. Okay. Be respectful. This is a CTF, at least in the DEF CON version, that is free. The people that are making this contest possible are all volunteers, whether that's myself, Alex, any of the other Trace Labs team that's there. The volunteer judges are just doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, making this competition possible. So be patient and don't forget why we're here. We are not here to win a competition at DEF CON. That's just a fun byproduct of what we're actually trying to do with the CTF.
Yeah, another additional call out is we have a code of conduct and DEF CON has a code of conduct. So if you are abusive, you may very well find yourself that in violation of the conference's code of conduct. And that extends to DEF CON, that may extend to future conferences as well. So you want to make sure that you don't risk not just getting disciplined or kicked out of our contest, but risking discipline from the conference as well.
Yep. Well, it wouldn't be a CTF if someone didn't win. I guess that's how competitions work. Um, we do have some pretty cool badges for the various participants in this event. Um, for the team that gets first place from a points perspective, gold badge. Second place, silver badge. Third place, bronze badge. Um, we are still finalizing the awards and the prize package. So I unfortunately can't list out like, oh, this is what first place gets you, this is what second place gets you. But I can say that, you know, gold, silver, bronze, pretty standard there. Um, it's tradition in, you know, hacker CTFs or hacker competitions to award a black badge, the most prestigious award you can walk away from a competition with. And we give that out in this CTF for what we call MVO, or most valuable OSINT. So one thing I can tell you is if you win a black badge from us, you get free admission to all future CTFs. In addition to a prize package yet to be determined. We're still working that out. But MVO, again, it's a subjective thing. It's not because you got the most points. It's not because you submitted the most flags. It's a collectively agreed upon, you know, submission that we felt like just goes above and beyond, and we'll hit on that a bit in the next slide.
Yeah,
Also,
we've done we've done MVOs in the past. They have always been very impressive. So we have had time to really refine what makes an MVO. Additionally, as much as we would like to give a black badge that also fits in with the black badge of the conference, we don't as of yet have that. So don't misunderstand. Our black badge is getting you
yes,
entrance to all these wealth of
yeah, this is not a
conferences
DEF
out there.
CON black badge. This is a Trace Labs
This just means that you
black
don't have
badge.
to pay to participate in any of our future events.
Yep. But some gimmies. If you participate in the contest, you will get a badge from Badger. If you are a volunteer judge, you will get a badge from us there. So it's really like if you're not familiar with badges, it's a cool thing. If you complete, like, and you'll find this in lots of places online. If you complete a training, if you complete a certification, if you do a thing, if you judge a Trace Lab CTF, you will get this little graphic that, you know, links back, you know, to Badger. So there's proof it was issued by Trace Labs, and we have a blurb about, you know, what you had to do to earn this badge. But it's a really simple two-step process. One, get badge. Step two, flex. So you can drop it on LinkedIn, drop it on Twitter. We've had people make these into physical badges. If you're live at DEF CON, you'll probably see some people repping those.
Yeah, they'll have the physical badges of those.
Yes.
Those are very impressive.
Yes, but step one, get badge. Step two, flex. It's actually really straightforward. Alex already did, I think, a good job of talking through MVO, how you get it. I can tell you typically the team that wins MVO is not usually the team that finishes first. It has happened.
Yeah, I think it's happened once.
Yeah, but more
we
often
used to
than
say
not,
that we used to say that has never happened, and then someone went and both won with the most points, and then also had the MVO. But this prize is out there for those that may not be accumulating a ton of points. This can be earned by any team at any point level. You can come in 40th and have an MVO. You can come in third and have an MVO. You can also come in first and have an MVO, but this was something that anybody can have an opportunity for. So this is going to be intelligence that's highly actionable, using a unique OSINT technique, has a high level of difficulty to find, and may have exceptional context and supporting evidence that's provided. It doesn't have to hit all four of these fields. The more it hits, the better. And very often, what makes or breaks the MVO is going to be that last point of the exceptional context and supporting evidence provided. So if you do that in an exceptional presentation, that oftentimes comes down to different teams may have found the same piece of intelligence, but one of them had better context, better supporting evidence, and they're the ones that went away with the MBO award. Additionally, you're going to work through your judge in order to advocate to us for the MBO award. And that will be reviewed by ourselves and some other senior judges and senior leadership within Trace Labs.
Yeah, and I just hope like it's I would hope it's obvious by the way that we've structured these badges, but we are placing the most clout. We are placing the most prestige on this achievement right here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everything else is just math. Okay, you got the most points, cool, you won the CTF. But I'm giving a black badge, the most prestigious award you can get in a hacker CTF, to the people that achieved this. Like that's what I feel is the most worthy of this in this pantheon of badges. And like this is representative of the way that we view the competition as an organization.
Yeah, and I've always enjoyed presenting these badges and kind of giving an overview in very broad terms as to what they've done has always been a very moving moment for myself. I'm sure it's a very moving moment for Tom to talk about what a team did that was significantly valuable to the investigation and is really going to move the needle for the missing person.
Alex, it's been a pleasure. We've been recording this demo for going on 3 days now.
Yeah,
I'm sure your family would like to see you again. I'm sure mine would like to see me too if they haven't already left. I heard a car pulling out of the driveway violently, and that could have been my wife finally leaving me. But regardless, this was time well spent. We're going to have a ton of timestamps down in the description. But please, if you're still here, join Discord. Don't do password resets. OSINT for good. Alex, what else do you have?
I have the wise words of Bill and Ted: be excellent to each other and party on. So with that, like that's going to be a message that I'm going to carry through. I thank you for your time. I thank you for the time that you will be giving up this weekend, because I know there's a lot of awesome things that you can do at DEF CON. That time is something that is very appreciated, something that you may not get back. But again, thank you very much for your time. Go forth, be well.